Hi, my name is Jimmy Williams with NFL Draft Diamonds. And here with me today, I have a stud SEC linebacker that I'd like you guys to meet. This here is Stone Blanton, a linebacker out of Mississippi State. Nice to meet you today, sir.
Yep, nice to meet you. Thank you for having me.
Hey, appreciate having you on here, man. We want to get a chance to learn about more of your story and get your name out here as perhaps the best sleeper in this year's draft class. So go ahead and introduce yourself and let's get going.
Yeah, my name is Stone Blanton. Previously just played at Mississippi State and started at South Carolina from Jackson, Mississippi.
Cool. I was thinking to myself, the name Stone, you have to own that name. There's not too many people that I feel could, really, own that. But that's actually not your first name. Talk a little bit about how maybe that evolved for you early on as a kid.
Yeah, so my parents did, I have three older brothers, and my parents all named us ASB. So all of our initials were ASB. And my dad always wanted a son named Stone. And so my mom was like, well, let's not do that on the first first couple. And so I only had four and got to name me Stone. And so I've been called my Stone my whole life.
Wow, that's it kind of works. I mean, it sounds more like some guy in some series on TV, like you're watching like this like maybe a cop reality show or something. I don't know. To me it's interesting. But hey, you have certainly owned it throughout your years. Um Putting yourself in a great position. Do you want to kind of get a chance to learn about you early on before we get to your college years? From Jackson, Mississippi, Madison Ridgeland Academy there in high school. But before we get even there, how long have you played the game of football?
I started my first year was fifth grade and then played ever since.
So, I mean, have you always played the linebacker position? Talk about your early stages of being a football player.
Yeah, I was straight out the gate. I was a linebacker, threw in a little bit of running back, but I was a linebacker through and through. My oldest brother played linebacker, and I just kind of followed after him.
It kind of works. So, growing up in Jackson, Mississippi, was there maybe a particular player or team or something that you used to cheer for back in the day, or what?
I was always a Mississippi State fan growing up, so
All right. Hey, that's a fair answer. I was more so thinking about like at the professional level, like any players you tried to follow early on or what?
yeah. I always watched Luke Kuechly, Ray Lewis. I mean, those were the. I went to a Ray Lewis camp when I was in eighth grade, and so got to meet him, and that was like one of the highlights of my life. So, um, those are the players I always watch as just being a linebacker and then just being a football player.
It's kind of interesting actually meeting the dude at in eighth grade. You're sitting there middle school, 14 years old and hoping to one day play in the NFL just like this guy with a Hall of Fame career. Definitely crazy. Any lasting memories of you in high school as an athlete? Also have in my notes that you did some baseball as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was a dual sport athlete all the way through. Also did high jump and golf, and I played a lot of sports,
All right.
swimming. But baseball and football were my main sports. Was actually offered from Mississippi State in baseball, starting out. Like that was my first kind of big offer, committed to them, and then football kind of took off my sophomore year. And so the biggest memory I have was winning our first state championship in football, and that happened my sophomore year, and then we won three in a row from there. So those were awesome moments.
Interesting. So some state championships, a lot of great success in high school. And I'm pretty sure some of those offers started coming in early on. How did that work for you in your recruiting? And then we'll get to talking about your time at South Carolina.
Yeah. So the recruiting process was pretty crazy. I actually got my first offer in football was in eighth grade to FAU. But, at the time you can't talk to coaches and all that stuff. So, but it was that was pretty cool. And then it really took off my after my sophomore season, had a pretty good year. And that's when, all the kind of offers started coming in. And then whenever I think it's December 1st, maybe whenever college coaches can reach out for the first time, junior year, it just kind of took off from there and made it to the end, had to see it through.
Yeah, ended up being an Under Armour All-American,
Yep.
put in a position where very sought after by a lot of different teams, and end up going to South Carolina out of high school. What made you decide to go with South Carolina? Was there I don't know, maybe something out there that you liked, more than some of the other options, or what?
Yeah, I really believed in Coach Beamer and Coach White, the head coach and the defensive coordinator. Love them, love my time with them. And towards the end of my recruitment, the last game I went to was the South Carolina Clemson game. And, loved the atmosphere. It was at South Carolina, had a great time and just, kind of fell in love with it and stayed there and had my first two years of college there and loved it.
Cool. Talk about the early years of you being there at South Carolina, your development as a collegiate player, and maybe some of the teammates during your time there at South Carolina that helped you along the way.
Yeah. So early on, first getting there, you know, was introduced to college football, SEC football workouts with Coach Day, and those are some of the hardest workouts I've ever remembered. I mean, you had freshmen just falling out. It was crazy. Like you just get beat up your first week. You don't know what to expect. So that was definitely an eye opener, but I loved every minute of it. I think it made me tougher for my years to come, and then I had great teammates in South Carolina as well, great leaders in front of me. Spencer Rattler was there. And then, at linebacker was Debo Williams. And then came in with Nick Imamori, DQ Smith. All those guys were Cam Smith, played with the Dolphins, got drafted early on. And, those guys were just great players and great players to be around, great guys too, and showed a lot of leadership. And, super proud where all those guys ended up.
Cool. And then of course decide to transfer, and dude, you get an opportunity to come back home, which
Yep.
I know was such a I don't know, maybe like a burden lifted off of you,
Yeah.
just coming back home. Talk about what it is for a guy entering the portal, and then of course getting the opportunity to go to Mississippi State.
Yeah. So, leaving South Carolina was one of the hardest decisions to make because I really did love my time there. I loved everybody there. And it just came down to it where I wanted to be home. I wanted to be close to my family. My parents were the only ones really able to make it to all the games. And so I just kind of wanted to be where everybody could come watch and enjoy it. And ultimately, I knew I was going to probably moved back to Mississippi after I was done playing football. And so just being able to say that I played football for Mississippi State, my, you know, favorite team growing up, it was just a great opportunity. And then once I got in the transfer portal and they reached out, I just knew that that was going to be the place I wanted to go to and heard great things about Coach Levy and Coach Hutzler and, knew that I would fit right in with them and trusted them. And so I was super excited.
Yeah, I mean, let's not get the story mixed up. I mean, was a starter at South Carolina, and then comes over to Mississippi State. Again, a starter. Did very well this past season. I was looking up some of the stats. Obviously, led your team in tackles. Was actually tied for second in tackles in all of the SEC, mind you, with 125 total. As we're looking at you as a prospect, what do you feel perhaps separates you from some of the other people at your position?
Yeah, I think my instincts playing linebacker, play, really twitchy and kind of just understand what the offense is trying to do and can beat people there just based off of that knowledge. And then also I think I separate myself a lot with the way that I punch at the ball and cause turnovers. There's a few good punches on film that showcase that I have the ability to change the game at any moment. And, I think that's what people are looking for in a linebacker and defense in general is, who can get the ball back and change the game, change momentum.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, coaches, scouts, they're looking for guys who can attack the football wherever the football is. Call some turnovers. Really looking for linebackers to do a little bit more these days than they have in the past. Where you're going to have to come in, you're going to have to contribute in every single way possible. Of course, stop the run, be effective in coverage, also contribute on special teams. Talk a little bit about that if you don't mind. I mean, overall experience on special teams. Can you kind of elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, so starting off at South Carolina, I had a great special teams coach. We were actually the number one special teams in the country. So that's pretty good to have under your resume that you played under that.
Nice.
Um, Played special teams there. Unfortunately, I didn't play as much special teams at Mississippi State. We played more young guys, and then just to keep me healthy and ready to play on defense, playing a lot of snaps. Didn't get to play it, but my overall view of special teams is awesome. Love it. I think it's kind of the nitty gritty guys on the team, and it's a fun place to be.
Yeah, I mean, you may have to end up going there as you progress to the next level, which is fine. I do feel like you can easily be in anyone's depth chart, as a linebacker. You see yourself still maybe patrolling the middle there, being maneuvered around in different schemes. Like, is there maybe a particular style of play that defines you or what?
Yeah, stack inside linebacker kind of defines who I am. It's what I've always played. It's what I've played throughout. But I've been in different packages, whether it's 4 down, 3 down. I've been in those different packages and different setups where played a lot of positions. That's not just technically middle backer in a traditional 4 down front, but have moved around and kind of played in space where you have to apex and do all that, know your responsibility. So, but I see myself as a true middle linebacker that controls the defense.
Cool. Let's talk about this past season for Mississippi State. Of course, the win-loss column isn't exactly what you wanted. Of course, 2-10. No one really wants to talk about that, of course, but doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have some good moments throughout the season. So, uh, talk a little bit about this season, man. Some of the highs and lows for you personally, going out there day to day with your guys going to war. Uh, Go for it. Give me some of your your ideas, your feedback.
Yeah, so we started the season with a great win against EKU's first home game. All that had good momentum, um, but we, went on a bad losing streak after that, and it was rough. But I think Coach Levy did a really good job coming in every day. Was the same guy, brought confidence to us. There was never one game where I walked into that I felt like, we were going to lose. And, some people think if you're on a 4 game losing streak, you just go into games thinking you're going to lose. But I never felt unprepared going into a game, never felt outmatched going into a game. Um, we had a hard schedule and we didn't finish games the way we should have sometimes where, we were in games till the end. Like against Texas, it was 14-6 going into the fourth quarter. Texas A&M came down to the last minutes of the game. Ole Miss came down to the last minutes of the game, and Georgia came down to the last minutes of the game. There's a lot of games where a few plays here and there change the game, and we're looked at as a great team. And that's just football, and that's life in general too.
Dude, I hear you. And again, it's the freaking SEC.
Yep.
Like people need to understand. It's practically semi-pro. With the way that they prepare you, like you had mentioned before. I mean, you come in immediately and you're pretty much treated like, an NFL player, and you're not even there yet. You're facing against now an extended SEC, team. You get Texas coming in there, Oklahoma coming in there. You're facing guys like Georgia and everybody who's, always in that national title, position. So it's brutal for what it's worth. But I do feel like you had a couple good games, as you had mentioned. I want to talk about the last couple, if we can, because I feel like those two games, despite a loss, put up some pretty good, some solid PFF grades. So last couple games, one against Missouri, you had 18 tackles in that game. And then, of course, the last game there against Ole Miss. I know it's great to get a win against the rival there. So, can you walk through both of them? Maybe some memories from each of those games.
Yeah, Missouri was a tough game. I mean, they ran the ball a lot. We couldn't necessarily put the ball down the way we should have. It's hard talking good about losses. I struggle with that.
That's
Um,
fair enough.
who I am competitively, I don't like it. But there was good moments in there where we would get off the field and we just we let drives extend too long. But they had good players, and they ran the ball a lot, and I was able to get a lot of tackles, and that's good. But um, at the end of the day, we didn't win, so it's hard to talk about good moments in games and stuff like that. But
Fair enough. It's I mean to bring up any sore subject, of course, but you guys had to fight through adversity, through that game, and you got a whole lot of other guys around you who are trying their best to make some plays. Can you talk about some of the guys around you there at Mississippi State?
yeah, so Isaac Smith, he's a great player. Plays kind of safety rover position for us. He led the SEC in tackles. He's a great player and has good ball skills. Young guy. This will be his true junior year, so he'll be ready to roll, and super excited to see him play. And then Nick Mitchell beside me. Bryce Pollock was at corner. Just those are great athletes that can play ball. And then Corey Ellington behind me. Um, just great players that can, change games when the opportunity is there.
Gotcha. And let's talk about your final game there for Mississippi State against Ole Miss. No, I know it had to be a tough loss, and I know it's not exactly what you want to talk about, but I mean, I do want to kind of talk about like the I don't know, like the emotion going into that game, and then of course, some of the exchanges throughout that game, if you don't mind, giving a little insight.
Yeah, so since I was a Mississippi State fan growing up, like the Egg Bowl was always the biggest thing, and I went to pretty much every single one up until kind of the recruitment started. Um, so that game meant everything to me. I had a whole bunch of family there. Some are Mississippi State, some are Ole Miss, so that makes it even better. And so just walking out in that stadium, having Mississippi State jersey on, and just going out there ready to play, and played them really good. Had a chance to beat them at the very end. We were on the 1 yard line with, I think it was 6 minutes left. Um, they were up by three at the point, I think, and then we just couldn't get it in, and they got the ball back and ran the clock out. But the emotion side of it, it was phenomenal. It was a great atmosphere, great game.
Cool. And so you finish this season. We're trying to think about, okay, well, what are we going to do moving forward? And so you're put in this into this position. Do I declare for the draft? I have one more year left to go, and you ultimately decided to forego another year. Can you kind of walk me through a little bit of that decision making?
Yeah. So I had surgery December 6th, and was just kind of talking through with Coach Hutzler, Coach Levy, about it. And then I graduate in May. I get married in May. So kind of, I'm already 22. I'll be 23 in September. So I'm an older junior because I got held back in high school. So technically, like my age is a senior. Anyways, had a good season with a lot of tackles. Was captain at two different places. Um, so I just felt like, this was a good opportunity for me, and it was a good opportunity to give it everything that I have and go out there and be who I am.
Yeah, I mean, I know it sounds kind of strange, but dude, if you were at a winning SEC team, no one would have blinked twice with your
Right.
decision because that's kind of a typical thing that we
Yeah.
see each and every year.
Mhm.
But as you had mentioned, I mean, you're in a position where you're a little older, a little bit more responsibility. With you, gonna have a family, getting married, getting in this position, of course. So motivation, it makes people do stuff. So I definitely feel you there. Let's talk about what's happening right now. Obviously, you're preparing for pro day. getting yourself, ready for this upcoming draft. What are you doing these days?
I train every day from anywhere from 9:30 to 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock sometimes, then have class, then come home and study a little bit, do some schoolwork, and then just kind of stretch out and get my mind right for the next day. It's just kind of just making sure I'm eating enough and eating clean. It's just a full day of training and eating and drinking water and all that stuff. So it's not very interesting, but it's needed stuff.
That's just, what you have to do. And again, as you had mentioned, you're still a student, you're still in school, you're still trying to get stuff taken care of. What are you trying to pull together there with a degree?
It's in interdisciplinary studies. So I was in exercise science at South Carolina. We didn't have an exercise science program here. And so that was the major that were all my credits would transfer over and keep me on track to graduate in 3 years. And I took the business classes I need to get an MBA. So that'll be an option. And then that's just kind of what I'm doing with that.
Gotcha. So, kind of wanted to just go ahead and get that out of the way, but of course, working towards your pro day. When is your pro day, by the way?
March 27th.
March 27th, gonna be here before we know it.
Right.
Any particular exercise drill or something that you feel is gonna really turn some scouts' heads, or what?
Uh, I mean, they're all important, I don't think. But I think for a linebacker, your 10-yard split on a 40 is important. Your 5-10-5 is important, vertical, broad jump, and then just linebacker drills, just doing that. So those are all very important and I feel like I'll be ready to show my best out there.
I'm looking through some of these numbers at the NFL Combine, and I'm thinking to myself, we could have had Stone Blanton out there. Like, I don't know what the circumstances are. Like, if given with your class situation, if you would have been able to go out there. But how maybe would you compare yourself right now with some of what just recently happened?
I've watched pretty much all those guys play. They're great players, but I don't think they're, heads and shoulders better than me by any means. But, I study a lot of linebackers, especially in the SEC. So, and a lot of those guys were SEC players. I actually played with Bam Martin Scott. He's a great player at South Carolina. I thought he did great at the pro day. And but I've seen all those guys play before, and I know that I can compete with them at any given time.
Awesome. Uh, Want to get a chance to step off the football field, see if there's anything else that we need to know about this Stone Blanton guy before we wrap things up. Anything else that you want to tell people about yourself, whether it be any interests, hobbies, fun facts, special talents, anything that you want to share or what?
Uh, my faith is very important to me. And then after that, I just play golf. I don't really have a whole lot of hobbies outside of football, training, and studying. So that's kind of what I'm locked in on right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you have a whole lot of time, like you said, like you had mentioned earlier, to do stuff. So, um, I want to see if maybe I can throw a couple fun questions your way just for kicks. Again, this has literally nothing to do with football. It's more so for people that are just, kind of curious and want to get to know some of the little quirks, maybe.
Yeah.
Let me see here if I could ask you some silly questions. Uh, you wake up in the morning. What's a typical breakfast for you these days, man?
It's either deer sausage, eggs, and rice, or it's a power shake with chocolate milk, blueberries, raspberries, bananas, peanut butter, protein powder, spinach, egg whites, and creatine, and that's about it, I think.
All
It's a
right.
nice big shake.
No, hey, it's a lot of stuff there. You had mentioned deer sausage out of the gate, and I'm thinking to myself, like, are we looking at an outdoors guy who might try and hunt some or what? Talk to me.
I like hunting a lot. I don't do it often, just because usually growing up I always played golf with my free time, but recently got into it, killed a deer, and so got the meat back and had a bunch of it, so I get to enjoy that every day.
Hey, I appreciate guys that know how to wield the weapon and get the job done.
Sure.
So, hey, it's cool to be able to eat what you kill. I think it's important, of course. Let's see if I could ask you a couple more fun ones. Uh, I don't know. Do you fancy yourself a guy who maybe would be comfortable with like a microphone? Like if I were to say it's karaoke night, are you sing? What are you singing? Are you singing? Are you a down home country kind of guy, or what? What's going on?
Fun fact about me is I don't listen to music.
At all?
No, I really like not much ever. Like I usually drive in silence. All my friends make fun of me. I just kind of
Really?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I might put on a podcast here and there, but usually it's just a quiet ride and usually talk to myself and feel like you
So,
learn a lot about yourself in quiet moments.
all right. So when you're prepping yourself for a game, like and you're in the locker room, like you don't have anything in your earbuds, or do you have like soundproof headphones or something?
I don't have anything. I just let it roll.
You just au natural, like whatever is happening, you just kind of roll with the punches.
That's right. Get fired up.
Hey, how whatever gets you going. I hear you. Uh, Let me ask you one more silly one, and then we'll get to we'll steer it back. So, uh, favorite or maybe a bucket list vacation spot. I don't know. I know you've been a little bit of everywhere, but where would that be for you? Like if you had an opportunity to go somewhere, is there some place that you set aside for whenever you do get that job in the NFL?
Um, I've looked at a few places for like a honeymoon, and St. Lucia was always a place that looked beautiful. And then my fiance, she loves Italy and Rome and all that stuff, so that'd be pretty cool. She actually had a chance to go over there, so that'd be pretty cool if I can go over there as well.
Cool. So again, engaged. Do you have a date set now? I mean, I'm not trying to put you on the spot here. Tell me.
May 9th.
May 9th. So congrats. Something to look forward to here in a couple months. So
Right.
trying to get the job done now so we can get it together by then, of course.
That's
So
right.
um, obviously, we're talking to each other under the platform of a guy who's fixing to get drafted, wanting an opportunity in the NFL. Stone, go ahead, let people know why you need to be given said opportunity and be a part of their team. So go ahead and finish with your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm a guy that's going to come in and work, earn the trust of the people around me, and just find any way I can to get on the field, whether it's special teams, backup role, starter, whatever it takes. I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to go the extra mile. I love the film room. I love being in there. So I actually, have fun playing football, and I think, that's not as common as you might think it is. But I do love the game, and I think it's really fun to play. And I think it brings kind of a edge to it because if you love something and you have fun while you do it, you bring confidence. And if you have confidence, it brings confidence to others.
Cool. Definitely sounds like a guy who is all business and really wants to hit people on the field. Especially with a guy with a name like Stone. I mean, you know that he's going to hit you hard. So, sorry, I'm trying to play a little bit with the wordplay there, but I think again we're looking at a guy who's been very successful at two different SEC schools, been captain, offers a lot of great leadership and intensity, and I know any team who gets you is going to be thrilled to have you. So, I want to wish you the best of luck moving forward. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Sure thing. Once again, I got Stone Blanton, linebacker out of Mississippi State. Check this guy out.